Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Navigate Home Facebook Live event. Well, we're kind of pre-recorded this time so we can be COVID friendly. But my name is Valerie McBain. I am a realtor with Century 21 Sackmar and Associates, and I help co-found Navigate Home, which is a group to help people as they're aging in life with their housing needs and any issues that come up. And today I'm very pleased to introduce our special guest, George Horattas. George is a family service counselor with the Mount Elliott Cemetery Association, and he's based at Resurrection Cemetery here in Clinton Township. And George, welcome today. We have a little bit of a heavy topic, but I know anyone who talks to you will feel very lighthearted afterwards. So you bring that nice energy and spirit. So if we can start, introduce yourself and tell us a little about how you got started.
Well, I am George Horattas. I've been doing this now 23 years. I grew up in a Greek family, so of course we had restaurants and bars, and we had sold our properties, which were in Detroit, and I was looking for something else to do. I didn't want to be in another kitchen or behind another bar. And I was turning 40, and I was like kind of scared. I didn't know what I could do, what I wanted to do. And we had learned how ill my mother was at the time. She had terminal cancer at 60 years old, and she had a friend who worked at a cemetery, and they had a Greek section. So I looked up my mom's friend, and I went and got a family plot and got the funeral planned. And I told my mother's friend, I said, I think that I need to do what you do for a living. It's just speaking to me. And it just kind of fell in my lap, and it's been one of the most rewarding careers I could have ever fallen into. And that, like I said, that's 23 years ago. So
very good.
Yeah, that's how it started.
Yeah. So our topic is about pre-planning and getting the cemetery property and everything in advance. And so what are some of the benefits to pre-planning?
Well, number one, I tell husbands and wives, this is something you should do together. You plan your wedding, you plan where you're going to live, you plan your retirement, you plan your family. Something like your cemetery property and funeral is something you should be planning together. You don't want your kids doing it, like I had to do it. Mm-hmm. My parents should have had that done, and they didn't. And it was a horrible experience. And then you send your kids to do it, and regardless of how close they are, someone's going to disagree about something. So at least you do it for yourselves. Your family knows what you want. You spare your family the grief of having to do it at the worst time. The other big thing is financial. A lot of people don't realize the cost of cemetery and funeral go up every year. Every 10 years, it doubles.
Wow.
So by pre-planning, you lock prices in, you put a deposit, you take your time paying for it, and it's done. If you wait till the death occurs, we don't wait for money. Some people think, we'll give you time to pay, or we'll wait for life insurance, and we don't. Everything has to be paid before a burial can occur. That's another reason, is the financial aspect. People work hard for their money all their life. Why give more to us than you need to?
Yeah. And I can really see that emotional burden that you've passed on isn't something you necessarily want your children to inherit. You want to be able to take care of that for them, and the financial part as well. So,
right.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So tell us a little bit about the process and what tools we can use to help.
Well, a lot of people, what I like to do is invite you in for it's a free, no obligation tour of the cemetery to show you all the different options we have. A lot of people tell me, well, I'm not ready, or I don't know what I want, so I'm not going to come in. Well, all the more reason why you should, because we have so many different things for every preference and price range that, I take you on this tour, show you everything we have, go over prices, you can kind of rule out what you don't like, kind of, see what you do, and then go home and think about it. And it gives you a little more information as to what you might want to do. I give a tool when I meet with people. It's a pre-planning organizer, and this book is worth a million if you write in it. It has a page in here that it lists all the information you are going to need for an obituary and a death certificate. And I know a lot of people's kids don't know where probably their grandmother was born or their maiden name. There's a financial page to figure out what monies there are on hand. There's where are your important papers. There's my favorite pages is what do you want? You can put, what clothes you want to wear and what flowers you like, and things people probably don't know. So this is a great book that I give to people for free when you meet with me for the tour. And people have really gotten a lot out of it. So that's where I like to start. I mean, we have to go by people's comfort level. Sometimes they'll just say, mail me some information, and I'm okay with that too. Ultimately, it would be a good idea to get together. It's simple. It's not scary. It's not scary.
Yeah. And I mean, that is a very helpful planner. And as you mentioned, it's something you offer when people set up the appointment to see you and stuff, which will let people know how they can get a hold of you afterwards. But another question is, with COVID and the pandemic, how has that changed things?
Boy, I thought I'd seen it all in these 23 years until this pandemic came. And I never felt so bad for families because, they probably, their loved one probably died alone in a hospital. They couldn't see their loved one. They couldn't have a proper funeral. They were making arrangements by phone. When we were closed to the public, we would have to wait on people in their car in the parking lot. It was so impersonal. I felt so bad for these families. They couldn't watch their loved one's burial close. They had to watch from afar. And it was hard. It was sad. I really felt bad for these families. And I had a lot of feedback that people had wished they had their cemetery property already done because they hated going through what they were going through. So
yeah, it just tripled on the burden of it all, I imagine.
Yeah, it was very difficult, and I'm hoping it ends soon. So
well, yeah, as we all, because we all need that face-to-face interaction, and grief is always one of those things that it's better when you share with others and remember the good things on life. Yeah. So, pre-planning, how long does that process, do you think, take from start to finish?
If you're with me an hour, sometimes it's quicker. Some people know what they want. Some people know what they want near a family member, who's laid to rest with us. Some people come in knowing what they want. They do their own research and homework. Some people, but I'd say you're with me an hour by the time we take the tour and do everything, so it doesn't take that long, really.
And do you offer like a virtual tour setup too for those who feel like they don't want to make the visit?
We do. We have a lot of valuable information online, but what I tell people is I don't like doing burial, something this precious. I don't like doing burial by email, burial by phone, burial by online. I feel it's something that you need to come in and, this is something that's forever. It's what legacy you're leaving behind. It's the memory of you. And, you have to, if it's a husband and wife, you have to imagine one of them in their 80s visiting the other one. What is it that's going to make them feel peace of mind and comfort and safe? So it's something really that, people should come in for. Ultimately, however it started, they always do end up coming in anyway.
Right, right, right. But I like those points you made about planning and keeping things in mind about the peace of mind, the comfort of those who would be visiting, as well as, the ones who are interned in the property.
Well, when people leave the office, I want them, you're not leaving. It's not like you can spend this money and leave with something tangible to go home and enjoy and use. You're leaving. I want you to leave with peace of mind. I want you to leave my office feeling that you made a wise decision. I want you to feel relieved. I don't want you to feel financially burdened. I want something that fits in your budget.
Mm-hmm.
So when you leave, I want you to feel that peace. That's important to me.
That's great. And I'm sure anybody who works with you, George, does appreciate that and feels that. But for those who don't know, George has one of those infectious, wonderful laughs, such that, hopefully you're able to enjoy a happy laugh with him during the process. But one thing I also want to ask, George, is about if somebody, when you talk to people who have, gone through the process and they've buried a loved one who pre-planned, have any of them, what's their feedback been for that process?
Well, definite relief. I mean, a lot of people, especially if there's a widow or a widower involved, they tell me how glad they were and their family that they took care of this ahead of time. I've taken care of some families where there's been several members now over the 23 years, maybe up to 3 generations. So, and it always seems that if someone comes in at the time of need with nothing done, and sometimes you just can't get to it. I mean, I understand sometimes there's someone ill and it's more important to spend time with them, than taking the time to come in. Sometimes you just can't get to it for some, life gets in the way. So, but usually once someone comes in and it has experience making these arrangements, when a death occurs, it's strange how all their kids or the people's siblings all are affected now, and they get it now, and they all pre-plan.
Yeah.
That I like to see. And that's how you lock prices, and that's how you keep the family together. It doesn't, one bad experience teaches people really, that I got to get this done. So I don't know. I hope I answered your question. I went off on something.
No, that's great. I know you had a really interesting story to share with me before we got started, if you feel comfortable sharing that about a recent passing.
When I got into this field, my aunt, my mom's aunt, so that would be my great aunt, was waiting for me to come into this. And when I first started, I was able to sell cemetery property. I was able to sell funerals and different things like that. So she had gotten everything done. Cemetery, funerals were paid, and she bought a travel policy that the funeral home offered, where if anyone died 100 miles or more from home, this policy would pick up and it would pay to have the deceased flown home, as well as accompany the loved one with them. All expenses paid. And this was a one-time payment insurance. You paid one time and it covered you the rest of your life. So this aunt traveled to California to see my cousin, her daughter, for Christmas, and was going to stay a month. And she ended up passing away there. Well, my cousin here, her son called me and said, we're going to lean on you because I have no idea how to get her home. I don't know what it costs. I don't know anything. And I said, well, I need your sister to go in her mom's wallet, because your mother proudly carried these travel insurance cards every time she left. And I know they're in her wallet because she was very proud of that, getting that done. Well, they found the cards and they dialed an 800 number, and this travel policy has taken over and taking care of everything. Everything. And they are finding they took care of finding a funeral home in California. Now, California is in bad shape COVID wise.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some snags. It's made it more difficult, but this travel company, this insurance has stepped in, and they're fighting all the battles and getting things to happen.
Yeah.
Where my relatives would have had to do that and pay for everything. So
along with dealing with their grief. So, wow.
Right. So,
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in planning. My cemetery's done, my whole family's cemetery's property's done. We have a family plot. My funeral's prepaid for. The more you get done, the better. I always say pre-planning, when you plan a wedding, you usually have a year. And you're doing things like church and clothes and flowers and a meal.
And photographer and caterer.
So, when you lose a loved one, you're dealing with church, caterer, clothes, all these other things that you have to do within 36 hours. You don't get a year to plan like a wedding. So I tell people, you've got to pre-plan. It just makes so much sense.
It does indeed.
No one's ever said to me, I regret pre-planning, ever in 23 years.
No, I can imagine. But you first time we met, you said something and it stuck with me about the person opening the door to visit you, how it took a lot of courage. Yeah.
I have a feeling about what I do, and I'm very passionate about what we do for a living. And I train new people to do what I do. And I tell them, for someone to touch our front doorknob, our front door, is hard. You've either lost someone and you're coming in to make arrangements. You have someone laid to rest with us. So, you are emotional coming in. You may have a complaint and you want to be heard. Or you're pre-planning. Pre-planning is difficult to open our door because you're facing your own mortality. You might have just been diagnosed with an illness and you're trying to get your ducks in a row. So what I like, people to understand and remember is to touch our door handle is hard. To make a phone call to us is hard. We do it every day, but the people who call or come in don't. So that's how I feel anyway.
No, it's true. It does take a lot of courage to face things like you said. But again, I can't say enough how wonderful it is to have you, George Horattas, on the other end of that call, on the other side of that door, helping people and knowing you're in good hands. So George, let's go over one more time so people know where to find you.
Well, my direct line is 586-226-3401. And so again, it's 586-226-3401. That's the best way. It's my direct line. And then I can get you the information you need. We also do pre-planning seminars. I mean, with COVID right now, we're not, but a lot of people get a lot out of our seminars too, so that I can arrange for you to attend.
Okay.
Just you got to push yourself to start. That's all.
Yeah, because you got to think about the end goal, right? On there.
Right.
Have the courage to do it. Well, thank you, George, so much. It's been a real pleasure talking with you and sharing your information. So hopefully people can reach out and find the comfort that they need by pre-planning. Thank you.
Valerie, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.